Well, hello, dear colleagues. I have been researching learning styles for both traditional and non-traditional students for a better part of 2 decades. I started with myself, really, trying to figure out how I learned best. I was one of those students that, through grammar and high school, and maybe even a little bit of college, had fidgeted in the classroom because I was getting inundated with so much information that was lectured to me, and I'm sure to many others who were in my class. And I thought I was the dumb one because I just couldn't get a lot of the concepts. There were too many distractions. And not because I necessarily had attention deficit disorder, although I did question that sometimes, but really because I didn't learn the same way everybody else did. And I really felt stupid. I mean, literally stupid. And now, here I am, after almost 30 years of teaching, coming to the realization that in my era, a lot of students didn't perceive that they could go on with their education, even graduate, get a degree, because they very much learned the way I did. They wanted to be able to look at something, work their way through it, understand it in their own learning style, and then process it. And this is the way information was retained. Once we process information, after realizing that we weren't stupid and that we could learn, but in a different way, many of us became successful. Unfortunately, many didn't, because they didn't pursue beyond what they thought they couldn't learn in the classroom. Now I'm going back to the 80s. Here we are in the 21st century with enormous technology, with ways of reaching students that we never thought we could. But not because we are necessarily separating the classroom and the technology. What I mean by that is online learning, is not separate from the classroom, but rather an integration and a marriage between the classroom and the external environment. The external environment is the comfort zone where the learning really takes place. When students leave a classroom after a couple of hours of interaction, a lot of times many of them are left baffled. Why are they baffled? Because there was so much going on in the class and so many things that were covered, they felt intimidated by the whole process. So when it came time to study and look over their notes, they can't even read their notes to understand what they were learning in class, because they were too afraid they were going to catch something and not be able to rationalize what they were writing down. that is catastrophic for so many students that are spending so much money to go to school. And I think now we have to look at technology in a different way. We can't separate the technology from the class. It's an integration. It's an extension of the class, whatever you want to call it. From week to week, students are learning differently. And when the learning really takes place and you prepare them outside of class to study certain things and then interact with their studying and bring it to the real world. I'm a management professor, so I talk about management concepts, but real world concepts. And when they are prepared, they are so into what they're doing. For example, many of my lecture notes I would put up as video, YouTube videos. And now they're able to see the concepts that the book is talking about in real life. They're able to apply it. You know, most of us love to go to movies because of the sensationalism and the dramatization. But you drive points home that relate to the dryness, if you will, of the lectured material. Now students get it. They hear it from us. They go home and they, wherever their dorms or wherever they are, they watch it in a YouTube video. And then they start to process what's really going on. For example, I wanted to talk about having perceptual skills and technological skills and conceptual skills. So what did I do? I put up videos about the Cuban Missile Crisis, how JFK had to be conceptual to understand, to know that the military in the USSR was forming a coup in order to start a war where there was no gain. It didn't matter who won. There would be no world. And the armies, both our armies, perceived that as weaknesses, not strengths of Kennedy. But see, the point is, I'm trying to show these students how we apply a vision, an organizational vision, seeing what's not in front of us, to something like a YouTube video and a movie that they can relate to because they get the impact, they get the emotion of what we're trying to tell them. So I'm looking at the model that I'm presenting to you about recognizing alternative learning styles of students as more than just that. It's more than just recognizing that they have different learning styles, but how to utilize them by giving them information that they're going to bring and like it beyond just an hour and 15-minute class or a 2.5-hour class or a 3-hour class, but bringing it for a whole week between classes in some instances to wherever they're studying, and then really understanding it because they're seeing it, they're listening to it, and they are applying it. Our accreditors now are looking for learning outcomes. We can give them these learning outcomes because students writing fantastic papers, and that's what I'm experiencing right now. I'm asking my students for one paragraph. They're giving me a couple of pages sometimes, and it's really good stuff. Why? And by the way, it's only for a couple of points, so it's not about the scores. It's about the learning and the retention. So this is what my presentation is about. And I'm just hoping that somehow it makes some little impact on helping us all collegially help our students to learn. Thank you.